Hi guys, and welcome back to the Early Bird Photo News. A few weeks ago I made a video saying that I've heard from my own fairly reliable sources that there will be an R6 Mark II pretty soon, possibly even still this year. Of course, that was met with a lot of skepticism in the comments, but now, weeks after me, Canon Rumors has also picked up on that rumor, and at least it seems like Canon is working on something when we hear a lot of rumors from different sources. So while we still don't know 100% if that camera will come out, it seems more and more likely. And from what I've heard back then, and nothing has changed since then, is that the R6 Mark II will be somewhere in that sort of mid 20 megapixel range, not going into the 30, because I think if it's going into the 30 megapixel range, it's starting to encroach on the R5. So I think it will be mid 20s, maybe 24 megapixel on even the sensor of the R3, but we'll have to wait and see for those specs. It's not necessarily a camera that makes a lot of sense to me, or I saw the need for an R6 Mark II already. But Canon might see the need to position another camera a little bit lower in the lineup that has fantastic video features, because I was told an R6 Mark II would be very heavily focused on video and deliver some great quality. Another reason to update the R6 already might be that sales would have stalled a lot since the R7 and the R10 came out, since they're kind of appealing to a similar market. And the only real advantage of the R6 is that it has a little bit better autofocus, in my opinion at least, and better low light capabilities. But overall, compared to an R7, I think for nature photographers at least, the R7 can offer a lot as well. So I think a lot of people would have probably started to look more towards an R7 than an R6. So keeping that in mind, updating the R6 and bringing out a new model with great features and great video features might make a lot of sense, and it would also make the current R6 cheaper. Last week's video got a lot of angry comments when I was talking about Canon not allowing third-party lenses for the f-mount, and this week we actually got a bit more of an insight into that topic. There's a few Canon statements, in particular from Canon Germany, that seems to focus especially on autofocusing lenses. There seem to be manual focusing lenses that Canon doesn't really care about, but all lenses that autofocus Canon doesn't seem to be too keen on to be produced for the f-mount. They also said though that they don't rule out having third-party lenses at a later stage, but it seems like they feel like their RF lineup is still in like the junior phase and needs a lot of updating. So Canon wants to focus on updating all those lenses, filling in all the gaps in the lineup, and once they feel like they have a good RF lineup of lenses, they might also consider, for instance, licensing the technology to other companies who can then produce proper RF lenses for the RF mount. I also read that Canon has a few more things to unleash when it comes to the f-mount, and they want to do all these things and explore its full potential before there's third-party lenses kind of fiddling around with it. And that might make sense, especially when you look at the current situation already. For instance, there's a lot of R7 owners that have like a Sigma 150-600 contemporary, for instance, and it doesn't work too good on an R7, and then everyone is blaming the R7 when in reality, or to a degree at least, the fault is with the lens manufacturer, and Canon might not want to have the headache of so many people complaining at a later stage. Let's say Sigma makes an RF lens that they kind of reverse engineered, and in a year from now, again, it doesn't work on an RF camera because Canon updated something. So maybe they want to have everything set in stone and then start to share the mount with other companies. But of course, they also want the biggest part of the pie and dictate pricing on the RF lenses. So there's always two sides to the story, but personally I think if you have an RF camera, using RF lenses makes the most sense, but obviously I also get the more attractive price point with a lot of third-party lenses. At the moment, it looks like we'll just have to wait and see, hope that Canon comes out with some well-priced lenses, and that eventually we'll also see some third-party lenses. And while I think third-party lenses would be very attractive for the f-mount, we also shouldn't forget that there's hundreds and thousands, millions of EF lenses out there that can almost act as third-party lenses when they're adapted to the RF mount. Once you look at all the EF lenses that are out there, I think you also have a quite complete lineup when it comes to the R cameras. Of course, you have to use an adapter, but at least the Canon lenses adapted work extremely well. I'm still using my 600 adapted, and I used other lenses adapted in the past, and they work flawlessly. So while the adapter is annoying, there's definitely no reason not to, for instance, buy an older EF wide angle lens and then adapt that to the camera, and it will work fantastically well. And the prices for used EF lenses have come down a lot and will come down even more with more and more people changing to RF lenses. So I think that's still quite an attractive option as well that we shouldn't forget. In the last video, we also said that Sony was pretty quick to open up the mount to everyone. But we should also keep in mind that Sony didn't really have any history of lenses or that EF lineup behind them. So Sony basically needed other manufacturers to help them to create a good lens lineup, whereas Canon with the EF lenses and the third-party EF lenses to a degree had a pretty complete lineup already. So I think if we consider all these lenses, it actually makes sense to say maybe we don't need third-party lenses just yet. Let's line up everything perfectly with the f-mount and then maybe allow third-party lenses. What do you guys think? Am I way off, or does that make sense? I'm still well behind when it comes to editing images from my road trip, and this week I only managed to edit one photo. This photo of a green pygmy goose you see right behind me, but that was a bird I wanted to photograph for a long time. It's this awesome little goose that has amazing colors and mainly lives in sort of northern areas of Australia. And I was very happy to be able to connect with a few of them in Cairns. There's a few difficulties with the shoot. I couldn't be as low to the water as I wanted to be because there's a lot of sticks sticking in the water, and there's also crocodiles in the water, so you don't want to be too close either. And so my solution was that I used the R5 600 f4 with a 2x extender, and then rather than focusing on the ducks that were the most close to me, I focused on the birds that were a little bit further out in the lake. And by doing so, I could make the angle look pretty low even though it was relatively high. So whenever you're in a situation where you can't get eye level with the bird and you're kind of shooting down on it, it can actually help to move back a little bit further, use max focal length, and then for instance focus on ducks that are a little bit further out on the lake, because then it will look like your camera is actually quite low even when it isn't. When it came to editing this image, it was also quite challenging because the bird was in the shade and I had a very bright sunny background, like the reflection of the other side of the lake. So I used my PROSETS to get me to a perfect starting point by getting out a lot more details in the bird, and then I finished off the image with my masterclass workflow. And if you guys want to learn all about my PROSETS and my masterclass where I teach you step by step how to make your own images look amazing, make sure to check both of these out down there in the description. Another video I'm currently working on is my experience with those amazing Victoria rifle birds displaying in the deep dark rainforest and the challenges I had to overcome to take some amazing images there. So stay tuned for that, that will be coming up very soon. Not that long ago I watched another Peter McKinnon video where he introduced his latest camera tool that even had an included SD card holder, and I thought that looked quite cool. It was quite pricey, but I thought, why not? Maybe it's a cool little thing to have in your bag. However, when I went to the website to order it, it added another $70 of shipping to Australia. So instead of $99, which I already found expensive, it would have been $160 to get the tool here. So I'm like, no thanks. But now I really wanted to have one of these tools. So I started to look around and I actually found a few on the V&H Photo website. And I just ordered a few to see what they're like. So the first one I got was this Design one that looked pretty cool because it has this awesome clip. And then it has a lot of different sort of multi-function tools, screwdrivers here that will help you to take things off when you're working on a tripod, getting some screws off. That one looked pretty cool because of this little hook here at the top, and I thought it's very easy to hang that onto your backpack, for instance. And the second one I bought is from a company called Small Rig, which definitely comes in a nicer packaging. Actually, for I think 20 bucks, this packaging is quite nuts. So we have the nice packaging, then we have a nice case. And in the nice case, we have another nice case for it. And then we finally get to the tool, which is really awesome. It has the same sort of amount of different screwdrivers and things to remove tripod plates, for instance. And it also has this awesome little holes here where you can put little screws in, because sometimes you take a screw out and then what do you do with it? So now I ended up with two tools, and I actually don't know which one I prefer. I'll probably just keep both, put one in one backpack, one in the other backpack. I really like the clip on this one because this will be very handy in the field if you just need it quickly and then you just slam it back onto your backpack. But I like that you can put screws into the Small Rig one here, and overall the tool feels a little bit nicer in your hand than this one. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with both of these. And now you might say, why do you need one of these at all? because this was my previous solution, a little bag full of random stuff that just falling everywhere, and I lost a couple things with that method. So I'm looking forward to being a lot more sorted and neat and tidy with those two tools. And have you used any of those tools? Do you own any? Can you recommend some other ones? Because now I'm kind of hooked on these and want to find the best ones. So if you know any good ones, make sure to let me know in the comments. Where did that go? There it is. You might wonder what happened to the other brands in this week's photo news, but there was just not any news we hadn't talked about already. The only rumor that we can definitely debunk is that we will see a Nikon Z8 in August, because now we have September. And I always thought it was a little bit strange to bring out a Z8 while the Z9 is still on back order. I think once the Z9 is readily available on camera stores' shelves, we will see a Z8 that will be quite similar to Z9 without the battery grip and a few other features taken out. But until then, I think there will still be a little bit of time, because why kind of cannibalize the Z9 sales with the Z8 if the Z9 is still selling like hotcakes? And on this note, I think it's time to wrap up this week's early bird photo news. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please give me a thumbs up for this video. Let me know all your thoughts down there in the comments. Check out my setup guides, PROSETS and masterclass, and I will see you in the next video very soon. And don't forget to subscribe. Bye.